So my name is Meryl, and I'm the co-founder of The Sound of C. We are an ecosystem for leaders in the nonprofit and in the corporate world. And I'm happy to be here with Craig to learn a little bit more about what he's doing.
Thank you for being here.
So, Craig, I would like to know a little bit more about your project. Can you elaborate on it?
Sure. So one of the things that we noticed was that in a lot of circles, when talking with leaders, executive directors, board directors at nonprofits, is that they're very well-intentioned people. They work very hard on their mission, but sometimes they don't learn from the best practices that have been established by others. And we thought it would be a good idea just to create a very quick and easy way for people to learn some of the challenges that they're faced with may have already been overcome by somebody else. So how do we bring nonprofit leaders in through a forum to teach other nonprofit leaders about what they've experienced and some of the challenges that they've overcome? And so we decided that one of the best ways to do this was by sitting down with people, having an interview, getting right to the point, and discovering the problems that they've already solved.
Of course, I would love to know a little bit more about how, but first I would like to know if there is a story behind the name Grow for Change or...
Yeah, the name really came out of the idea that, you know, what a lot of nonprofits are trying to do is grow their influence and grow the impact that they have on their communities. Because if you're not growing your impact, you're shrinking your impact. And that's not what any social enterprise wants to see. And so we wanted to align the program with this notion of growth. And so really what we're trying to do is help other people grow. And if we can share knowledge that helps organizations, nonprofits, and charities grow, meaning expand their influence in their community, that's where that came from. And sometimes that means they need to change. It may mean they need to change the way they're communicating. It may need to change their governance structure. They may need to change some of their the way they're dealing or handling with their board or with their donors. And so it was the exploration of how can change lead to growth. And then the leaders that we're bringing on and interviewing, these are the catalysts for change. They've seen growth in their own organizations, and we wanted to share those stories with others.
I was in the past, I was a CEO of a nonprofit. I had my own nonprofit, and I found really difficult to find tangible actions. I would learn from others, but it was very difficult sometimes to find practical way of doing things and actually someone who can guide me. I find it easy to find someone who can talk to you once, but then there's no recurrency. Are you providing that too, or is it?
No, I think what we're trying to provide is look, let's be very clear. You know, our role in the ecosystem as, you know, a member of the financial community is we provide investment management services to nonprofits and charities. We also provide those services to families and individuals. What became apparent to me anyway was that the individual families that we were working with were getting access to financial plans, tax plans, estate plans, those types of tangible services that enhance their overall wealth management strategy. When it comes to the nonprofits and the foundations, what are the things that are going to make them successful? It's not financial planning, tax planning, and estate planning. It's donor engagement, donor motivation, governance, board work, these other things. And so it's not our intention to create all of these skills. There's an ecosystem out there of experts who are already doing this. It was really just to say, how do we create the system where we can expose not just our current clients, but our potential future clients to the ideas that are really going to transform the organization moving forward. So we see ourselves more as sharers of information, curating and bringing that information forward. And if an introduction is something we can make, we're more than happy to make an introduction to others.
And how come you moved that far to the nonprofit sector? Like what, I don't know, is that an English, I don't know if it's an English word, but what animated you? Like what motivated you to switch? Like it's a big pivot move.
Yeah, it's a great question. The pivot was a very intentional move on my part to better align my business with not just the types of organizations and people that I wanted to work with, but along with my skill set. Again, having that background in history and marketing, branding, advertising means that I'm in a better position to help organizations for whom that is their real struggle. I'm not doing the consulting work for them, but I can understand. I speak the nonprofit language now. I speak the charitable language, and I can understand when there's a brand problem that's not necessarily an asset management problem. We're looking after the asset management, but if I have an awareness of the other challenges that the nonprofits are faced with, I may be able to help them through an introduction to another professional or just by sharing a best practice story from another leader.
So what inside you made you decide that I want to work for the nonprofit, I want to work for social causes? Is there anything that made you move to, I want to work to do good?
I realized that the work that we're doing with individuals and family, a lot of that work leads to a conversation around what are the causes that people care most deeply about. And it's our responsibility as fiduciaries who are managing their assets to take that into account and to help them devise a program that helps support those causes to the best of their ability. I understand that. The other thing that we noticed was that it's nonprofits and charities are struggling to find new donors. And so what we're trying to do is create an ecosystem where we exist in the area where there's an overlap between the donors who have causes they really truly wish to support, help them do that most effectively, and we're trying to create the ecosystem so the charities can find those people. And a lot of times the small and medium-sized charitable and nonprofit organizations get drowned out by the larger ones. Advertising works. I didn't spend 20 years of my career in that space to know that it didn't work. And so how does the smaller medium-sized organization compete for space, for mind space, and to build those meaningful connections with the donors? That felt to me like a more noble cause than just trying to find wealthy people and helping them manage their assets.
What's the situation right now?
We have a small team here, and our team is primarily focused on the investment management component of what we do. That is, at the end of the day, that's what our clients are tasking us to do, which is manage their overall investments. But if along the way we can help somebody because maybe I have an experience to share, or maybe I can introduce them to a leader through a program like this that helps answer their question, that's another way to help. And so it's always been frustrating to me that people will say, I would like to advance, or I would like to learn something, or I would like to speak to a nonprofit leader. And sometimes those forums and those formats haven't existed. Or there are people who are fantastic at what they do, but they guard that content behind a paywall, or you have to pay to access it, or you have to become a member to access it. And that's always frustrated me because I think about somebody who's, maybe in Chilliwack, BC, or Estevan, Saskatchewan, that wants to start a nonprofit or a charity, that's struggling to take their organization to the next level.
Thank you, Craig, for sharing. It was really interesting, and it was nice to get the why behind the whole Grow for Change.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.